What do we do with our disappointments? I'm asking that question, a question that just arose within while watching this new Netflix drama called The Life List. And I'm only like 30 or so minutes into this more than 2 hour film. And the mother is asking a question of her daughter, like, where did you go? Meaning, how has life impacted you in such a way that you're no longer who you were as a kid, with all these dreams and creativity? And she made the statement like, life sort of pulled her daughter from herself. And then I thought, what do we do with our disappointments? Because we will have them in life, right? That's sort of the nature of life. That we're going to go through things. We're going to have experiences. Not all moments will render outcomes that we want. Not all experiences will leave us inspired. And that still doesn't mean that we have to move away from our core and our truth in ourselves. But it seems that is sort of how it goes, right? Heartbreak tends to close the heart off, right? We build protective layers that someone else has to try to chisel through, or we have to unpack that to get back to an open heart. Our dreams or creativity, who we wanted to be when we were children, the rejection, the no's, the closed doors, the failed attempts, leave us less than inspired, so we start feeling like that must not be the path, or maybe we're not good enough. I think about myself, and I used to love to write. It was my thing, and even now I still journal, but I used to love to write. I would just write, be it poems or whatever it was, because writing, it accessed something within. And I remember in my 20s, in my 30s, submitting, my writing to different publications or what have you, and just hearing no. And at a point, it's like, forget it. Forget it. You get tired of hearing no. You get tired of sort of, well, what's wrong? Why isn't this door opening? And so that sort of starts separating us from the truth. It starts to separate us from the core. The power that the external world seems to have, because they are the ones deciding yay or nay, right? And when they are saying nay, as in no, it chisels at us. So we start questioning ourselves, our abilities, our gifts. And you wonder, well, so many people like it. So many people encourage. So many people get so much from it. Why are these doors not opening? What's wrong? So then you change, or let me just speak for myself. I took to writing less, spending my time doing other things, still reading, still, being absorbed in that way, but and even writing, but not submitting it, losing sort of the interest in being published, losing the interest in putting myself out there, because how many times do you want to hear no? And yet no is part of the yes. So what do we do with our disappointments? Do we pack away the fullness of ourselves because someone or many someones have said no? Or do we continue? And if we continue, how do we access the energy or the vibration or the inspiration or the momentum, the wherewithal to continue? What drives us? Sometimes for some, the disappointment served to inspire. They're so disappointed. It's like, you know what? No, I'm going to keep on with this. I'm going to keep on with this. And I just want to unpack that, because as we get older, what happens is, well, for me, because it's, we're all different. We're all unique in how we are living inside this human experience. For me, as I get older, I find myself returning to the start of the beginning, because that's where the joy is, the creativity. After you've gone and gotten the education, you've landed the job, you've got the career, the profession, you're making all the money, and you're acquiring and accumulating, and you have access, gratitude for all of that, and there's still that dream inside. There's still that something that was there before the responsibilities and the weight of the world took on. When we're adults, we have to sustain ourselves. We have to provide for ourselves. And if you have a family, you have to provide. And so that becomes sort of arduous and weighty, because who has time for creativity when we need to be creating a life, a livelihood? Creativity sounds very trivial when you have responsibilities, right? But it isn't. At the end of the day, we still only get this one life. So how can we go back to where the joy stopped and the disappointment started? How can we go back to our life list as a child, as a teen, whatever that was, and sort of remember who we were, which is still who we are in many, many ways. Of course, we grow and change. And with disappointment, we tend to grow and change in ways that shun sort of the light of the child with the inspiration and the imagination and the creativity. No, we have to be mature and responsible and arrive. But can we not go back to where the light started to dim and the dark of the disappointment started to take a hold? I'm feeling inspired watching this movie. I'm feeling like it's timely, that I'm reaching a point in my life where freedom is most important, where sound mind, peace of mind, no longer, in the rat race and all of that, and being surrounded by people who are prioritizing sort of things that at the end of the day do not matter the most. I'm feeling this resurgence of being. How do I want the second half of my life to be? And may I get a second half, right? How do I want to reclaim my childhood desires that are real and potent, that at this point in my life, I don't have to worry about disappointment, because, at a point you're so grown and you've reached a point and place and age in your life where you really don't give two hoots about the external, where you're just walking in your own light and power and beingness, where you start sort of rearranging the picture, where you care more about your own voice and way than the yeses or nos of the world. So what have we done with our disappointments? Have we put them in our back pocket and walked around with them and allowed the disappointments to shrink us? Or are we sort of going to take the disappointments out of our pocket, set it to the side, and pick back up where the light was before the disappointment happened? Because I'm right there. What are we doing with our disappointments? How are we allowing them to shape us in ways that do not even satisfy the soul of us? Disappointment is so dank and dark and deep in the negative that, and I don't want to say negative, we're all going to be disappointed. It's natural. But if we succumb to the disappointment, then we lose the pulse of our own beating. We lose the essence of the innocence of creativity. Maybe we want to create something, with clay. Maybe we want to toss paint on a blank canvas. Maybe we want to write poetry. Maybe we want to dance. Maybe we want to teach, laugh, love, be free. So I'm thinking about disappointment. And I'm thinking disappointment just doesn't deserve the spotlight. Disappointment, yeah, it has its day and time. It's normal. It's a natural part of being. But it doesn't have to be the highlight. It doesn't have to be emboldened, underscored, like, hey, everybody, here I am. No, let's go back to the start of the beginning. Be inspired. And if we don't know from where the inspiration comes, let's just go back in time and remember who we were and start accessing that person and then exploring the way of that. I'm going to spend some time doing that myself. Returning to the root, reclaiming that, because it's most important, truly. Like from an essence place, from a joy place, from a meaning and purpose place. Of course, we have responsibilities. That's real, and they will be there. And alongside those responsibilities, we can remember and then reflect on the remembrance and reclaim and see where that road goes. When I say see where that road goes, I'm reminded of my father who died when I was 28. And in this moment, I can feel the essence of his energy sweep through me. When he died and I entered into the room and his body was there on the floor and I sat on his bed, there were some newspapers. And on one of the newspapers, he had handwritten, "Where does the road go?" Where does the road go? I want to remember and reclaim so that I can see more clearly where my road is going, because that's important to me. And I'm really appreciating this moment of reflection and remembering. And I'm grateful for the layers of it all. Even as my eyes are brought to water in this moment, I'm so filled just with the gratitude for being able to give this thought and return to the start of the beginning, where the inspiration fell off and the disappointments picked up. It's time to lay them back down and to pick back up who we truly are. My. Thank you for listening, for being here, for holding the layers of this moment with me, the emotion, all that is sort of rising and bubbling. I appreciate your time, your attention, and always your ear. Thank you. And I hope that you come back around and rate the show. I don't really say rate the show, but rate the show. Show being the podcast, the showcase, the sharing. And I'm going to sit with this right now, alone in the quiet, and be. Come back around. I appreciate you. I do.